Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the show. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Ben Brady. Now Ben is a vlogger, he's a rapper, he's a TikTok person.
I just mean take a step. Maybe not every day, work up to it, but take a step.
As always, if you like the podcast, please share it with someone you think will like it and pop a screenshot on your story so I can see where you're listening. And if you took any inspirational quotes or anything from the episode, please do let me know. And if you want to find me, my Instagram is at LouisMax as well, and Ben Brady's is at Brady Aesthetics on Instagram, and his TikTok is Ben Brady, and my TikTok is Louis Maxwell. Look at me plugging the TikTok. So this week, what I'm going to recommend to you is the audiobook Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's a fantastic book and it's on Audible, and you can actually get it for free on Spotify, which I discovered, which is amazing. Listen to it. I think it was written in 1937, and the principle have been applied to successful people to this day, so it's very good to keep you motivated. I've also been going on 10-kilometer runs every day to keep me going, keep my head clear, so I'd recommend finding some form of exercise to help you clear your head. And I've been listening to the podcast On Purpose by Jay Shetty, which is very inspirational and features guests such as Khloe Kardashian, Alicia Keys, Jada Pinkett Smith, like great stuff, and he's a great guy. And Ben kind of breaks down TikTok a little bit and how he went viral with TikTok, and it's very interesting. We talk about Gary Vee, we talk about people helping you out, how to get started. So like Ben does videos, he raps, he talks about the power of vulnerability. It's a very fun episode and I really hope you do enjoy it. So, past 24 hours.
Anyway, right, so Vlogger Comp happened yesterday, the biggest, quote unquote, biggest social media event in Ireland. And technically is, but there's not really many that happen. So I'm friends with a lot of, well, I do it myself, but a lot of YouTubers and TikTok people. Vlogger Conf, yeah. Conf, short for conference. It kind of confused a lot of people because they were like, wait, conf? Like, what is that?
Confirmation?
Well, yeah, but if you see the word, like, you know what it means. But I think it's a good name. Met a few new people, but I know most of the kind of people who were there and in the space. So, like, name of different people. Jessica Brennan, I didn't meet her before. She is 250k give or take on YouTube. She's pretty big on that. Posts a lot of stuff about her life and like geared towards female audiences. There was Anna Lenks, who does a lot of studying and like study with me and leave insert stuff and productivity. And she says she doesn't even like school, but that's the assumption you'd get if you watch the videos, but she's so cool. So unique people like that. And then some of the guys I know, Thomas Arnold, a videographer as well, does vlogs and TikTok and things like that, and Keane Gannon and all the boys that I've known from day one. So it was nice. I was on photo duty for the day. And it was a decent sized event, it wasn't anything major, like 100 people came. And it was in Radisson Blu Hotel in Dublin City. I love the community we have. So I had a great day yesterday.
And what would I expect as a person going to Vlogger Con?
Sure. Well, specifically, we did, Q&As, meet and greets, talks, branded as like fireside chat or, kind of like TikTok v YouTube, like little games here and there where we'd have 3 people who maybe have followings on TikTok and 3 people on YouTube, and they'd kind of like guess, like Dara would host it or was hosting it, and he'd bring up a question that like everyone in the audience would guess, and then also the 2 teams, like who would someone, I think there was it's like some weird title of a first video, and they had to guess whose video it was and things like that, just trying to be interactive. And
bits of trivia, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason people go is so they can meet people they see on the screen. Bottom line, it is beneficial and it is nice, and if someone wants to go, they go. But it's a meetup at the end of the day. It's a meetup.
And what word of advice would you give to someone who wants to, break onto the vlogger scene and do all that?
I can hear in my head the thousands of people who just say just do it all the time. I'm not saying that. Let me see. I wonder about it. Like if you have friends who might want to do it, it's a nice way to get into it. It's highly likely one or some of them might stop because that happens all the time. People's interests change or they realize they might not want to do it. But that's a very easy way of starting. A lot of people who are on their own, quote unquote, or only interested in it themselves, depending on what age they are, what time in their life they're at, they might not feel comfortable doing it or whatever it might be, you know, whether it's music, whether it's YouTube or vlogging or whatever. It's all kind of under the same bracket, to be honest. They might not feel like doing it. So, I mean, just start, like, don't be indecisive. Here, that's what I'll say. Don't be indecisive. So I know that you might be like, well, that's the same thing as just do it. And that's very vague. I just mean take a step. Maybe not every day, work up to it, but take a step of pursuing this interest. You're not going all full 90 at it. You're not getting a camera. You're not vlogging every day. You're not doing crazy stuff. You're not trying to spend, you know, €50 a day going on trains all around Ireland to get different shots, whatever it might be, or buying beats or whatever.
It's about just starting.
Yeah.
And planting that
learning
seed.
it. So for me, I learned, how I learn everything off YouTube. I learned, you know, how to edit videos, things like that. Trial and error, of course, is the other half of the battle. So actually doing it, but learning it off YouTube. Then you knowledge breeds confidence. So you have a bit more wherewithal. So I found a camera in my house, ran on AA's. Not a great camera by any means, but I wanted to use that. And then when I got a new phone, like a few months later, I used that because it was a better camera on it. And I did vlogs, summer vlogs, things like that. Stuff with the guys, my friends, whatever it might be. Scuba diving stuff. I'd use my dad's GoPro. And there was no, you know, kind of consistent theme or story, but the benefit of it was I was getting out this creativity. And I was never hugely creative before, but I always felt an underlying need to, and I didn't really realize that until maybe 16 or 17. Like I used to do Lego stop motion shorts. A lot of people kind of did that when they were younger.
And what do you think started that in you? What was like, right, this is my calling? Because a lot of people feel creative and they're like, where do I put that energy? And then sometimes that energy just gets squandered.
So, well, real quick, I'll make sure I answer that. One thing I've been thinking a lot about recently is I basically had three. To keep it simple, I've had three main passions, let's say. So health and fitness was the first one. I learned a lot of stuff off YouTube. I started going gym, started learning about like chiropractic things, very boring stuff for most people, but I'm just fascinated by the body and all that stuff. So, you know, that was like 2 years. And then I got to a decent stage where, you know, I probably could pass like a personal training course, you know, something like as a metric for people. Then the next passion was video stuff, YouTube, same deal, learned off YouTube, but it was a bit quicker. You know, got to a decent stage where I could be self-sufficient, doing the stuff myself, doing it for a little bit of money in a year. And now I've other interests I might pursue, such as rap and writing rap and things like that. And that I straight away I know is going to be even a way quicker process. Like I realized I wanted to do it. I started February. I started just writing a little bit. I used to write poetry, so there was a little bit of crossover with that. And I'm just practicing, and I know I'm going from zero, but it's okay. I'm not being indecisive. I decided to do it straight away. I was like, I was on the bus listening to a beat that just came up in my recommended. I was like, that sounds cool. And it just came into my head.
Let's do it, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the process, the formula is the same without getting too heavy. You just learn from people you might know, or get to know people who might do that stuff.
And Ben, that sounds very present. Like your whole energy sounds like you're very present, that you're not living over there next March, you're not living in the past. Like, how do you get your mind to just be present and be okay with being at zero? Because it's so hard for people to be at zero.
Yeah, that's very, that's very good acknowledgement, because it's kind of true. I live week to week. I'm not consumed about planning my life or anything, you know. I'm not like I'm gonna live here in 2 years or anything, because I just don't know. That's okay. How do I've actually thought about it a little bit. I don't know how, because I know definitely a lot of people, we all struggle with it a bit, being present, or whatever way you want to package it, you know, appreciating the moment, or not getting caught up in things, or overthinking things, or thinking ahead, or thinking in the past, whatever it might be. I mean, the things that come to my head, Gary Vee helped. I don't watch him anymore, but he helped for a while, his message. Just myself, my experiences, learning from loss, things like that, making you appreciate life, I suppose, and in the short term. Not being as hard on myself, I had to work on that. So that just is another little addition to it. So I'm not beating myself up over small things. So then therefore there's more space for other thoughts or not positive thoughts, so.
And I think you mentioned earlier that you're not trying to be perfect, which is the thing. You're just starting. You're just doing it. And I think even myself and other creatives I know, it's like, oh, there's no point in starting that unless it's perfect. And I had that recently with a project that is now happening in 3 weeks. And before I was like, oh, I'm not ready for that yet. Making up excuse in my head. And then someone just pushed me. And that little, do you know Tony Robbins?
I do.
So I had a great podcast guest on, Helen Walsh. Tony Robbins, she went to his workshop in London.
No way.
The big thing, the O2, crazy.
That one.
Walk on coals. She went on to this, Helen Walsh, amazing. And Tony Robbins asked everyone to stretch their hands up. And when people stretch their hands up, they typically do this. And then he said, now really reach your hands up. And it's that extra bit, that extra stretch that gets you to where you're going.
It's a very simple but perfect example or analogy, yeah.
Isn't it? So I think it's just about starting and being like, right, the first thing I'm going to do is probably not going to be the way I envisioned it. The second thing probably isn't, but then third, fourth, fifth, and then you slowly build to where you want to go. And then before you know it, if you practice piano every week for an hour, by week 8, probably you'll be able to play a song, do you know? And you couldn't do that 8 weeks ago.
Well, actually, I'll make a very quick point about the piano. I used to do it for a few years, like during school. Then I stopped because it was kind of like I was kind of pushed into it, and I didn't really do it vocationally. That's not a word. But I just came back to it in October, and I wasn't coming from scratch, but like because muscle memory comes back. But I didn't remember half the notes. I didn't remember some of the stuff. But again, YouTube. And those Synthesia piano tutorials with the visuals on the keyboard, I like them, and I literally just got back into it in a week. Like, just do it. You know what I mean? I just said it. Fuck. But it's okay. It's true. That's what people say. And actually, Tony Robbins, him and Dean Graziosi, they're showing up on almost every YouTube video as the ad. That free workshop thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so annoying, to be honest. And I love Tony Robbins. That documentary on Netflix about him is unbelievable.
I haven't watched it yet. I've only seen the trailer.
Right. You are my guru or whatever. Or
I am not your guru.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Anyway, I'm very interested and passionate about people pursuing
their dream.
Particularly a creative endeavor, but their dream or whatever it might be, or just interests.
I think the thing is though, there's so much self-help stuff out there that I found myself guilty as well, that I look at so many self-help things instead of just doing it.
Sure.
I'm listening, I'm hearing all this encouragement on purpose. Jay Shetty podcast, really good for motivation stuff. But it's like, you got to go out and I'm going to say it again, do it. You just got to do it.
I know sometimes it might be frustrating because you might want to understand it more, but you don't necessarily need to overthink it. It doesn't matter if we say just do it all the time. It's fine. Like, you figure it out. Like, it doesn't take too much effort. Like, you suss something out. Is it viable to start making music? Probably is, but at the very least you can learn about it. So that's part of the battle already.
And you also learn how to learn, which is an important skill.
Oh yeah. So there's no obstacles really, is what I'm saying.
Because I think in secondary school, right, people say, oh, when am I going to use geography? Whatever.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like you're learning how to study, you're learning how to deal with deadlines, you're learning how to deal with pressure. And that's the great thing about it, and that's the skill you have to take away. Like, I worked the hardest during my leaving cert, and that has definitely helped me in life to be like, I can take on all this, get it done, and prioritize things.
You're more capable because of it, yeah. That's good to know.
Now, the box element isn't good. That you have to fit into this box, but again, it's the skills you learn along the way.
Absolutely. You asked me earlier about how did I start with vlogging and things like that.
Yeah, how did you realise that was yours?
So I don't remember exactly, but this is because, not a lot of things are a light bulb moment. It's kind of like a little bit of a compound effect over a few months or something. One main reason is Thomas Arnold. I went to a meetup he had in UCD. There was 8 people there. And he had 1.5k on YouTube, something like that. As a quick little insight, most people probably might not know him, listen to this, but Cian Gannon, friend of mine, he does all this stuff now. He's relatively big, at least with Irish standards. Whenever I walk with him down the street, people always come up to him, but he was on zero. and he went to this meetup. I met him for the first time, and I like using him as the example because we met each other at the same time. We're not in the same place now. We do different things, but we've just come along the journey at the same time, and we both got the same benefit from Thomas. So he was kind of like the example. He was like 2-3 years older than us. Well, 2 years older than us, and 3 years older than Cian, actually, yeah. And he was just an example. Like, he was already doing freelance work, so the seed was planted because of him. And he was doing vlogging, so the seed was planted because of him. So after a couple of times meeting him, I then started recording on my phone. Cian started recording on his phone, things like that. And it just kind of, you just get into it, and of course, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't have kept going, but I did. So we kept going, and we just learned along the way. And we, you think you're good at the time, or maybe you don't, whatever it might be. And you look back, of course, and you're like, you think you're terrible, but this is part of the process. And it's just great. Like, I have great memories of going to like abandoned warehouses, or going like into town, going to Boojum, things like that with the guys. So does that kind of explain it? That's kind of the meat of it, really is. Like, I mean, some other people I followed online, sort of fitness guys as well, just consuming some of that content, and the Irish people, like, it's Irish people doing it, not
Irish
US, and I've nothing against that. Like, I just mean it's nice because it's more relatable.
No, but it's nice to support like your friends. I saw someone put up a thing on Instagram recently, like, you'll pay €100 to go see Drake, or I was about to say Nicki Minaj, but she's retired from rap, or whatever, Drake, any like big star, like Taylor Swift, whatever, but you won't pay a tenner for your friend's gig in Whelan's. Do you know what I mean? And it's so true. Like, support your local artists, your local friends, like, as well as international ones. It's just like support from the ground up,
basically. And I mean, obviously they provided inspiration to me, so that's simply it. Like, and I just was like, oh, I'll do that. That sounds interesting. I mean, of course, there's a little bit of a cool factor with doing YouTube or something. You're like, oh, I do YouTube, but like, that wasn't too present, but that's a little bit there, at the start, because you're like, oh, you want to be, I don't know, unique or special, maybe, back in the day when you're an insecure 17-year-old, but it's good.
#insecure. And what motivates you, Ben?
What motivates me? Oh God, I'm actually cringing at myself. I was going to say I motivate myself. Okay, making stuff. When I make a video, when I make a sick edit, as I say sometimes.
A set it.
So,
that hasn't been a thing before, has it? A set it?
A set it, no.
I've done a set it.
Sending it. Absolutely sending it out of here in Narkbar with the boys.
Right.
That's on TikTok, like that stuff. There's a guy who's like, huh?
I was trying TikTok the other week.
Yeah.
And I was in work during my lunch break, and my boss and I are trying to understand TikTok. And so I downloaded it, and we tried to do a TikTok, and then I couldn't do it. So it was during lunchtime, and I asked one of my students, I was like, how do I save a TikTok without uploading it? And she's like, oh, you just put it on private. And I felt like such a dinosaur. And then she just started laughing at me, which is fair. But I can't. The TikTok, it takes up a lot of time, is my issue with TikTok.
Sure.
I'm gonna get a lot of haters here.
No.
But I feel like I get into it. I feel like it's gas.
Mm-hmm.
But Vine v TikTok, give me something.
I don't really understand why people sometimes online are like, oh, they're discussing is it the new Vine and all this. Like, firstly, it doesn't really matter, and secondly, yes, it 100% is. Like, it's short form meme type humor. That's exactly what Vine was. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it is a bit different though, because it came from Musical.ly. There's a bit of more musical aspect to it. Like, the things people criticize it the most for is probably, like girls dancing and the trends and things like that, like doing those funny dances. That's the thing people criticize it for. But like, I'll use specific examples. Cian does Irish humor, like tongue in cheek. Like, he refuses to dance, so that's not his thing. Some people would do skits, Ryan Marr, or like some people might do like some stuff I've done. It's just random stuff that comes up and you replicate it yourself, put your own spin on it. It can be very random, but again, as I say, short form stuff. The most you can post is a 60 second video. A lot of stuff is about up to 30 seconds, and like the most ridiculous stuff can go viral, micro viral. Like, quick example,
talk to us about your viral sensation on TikTok.
So this beautiful red couch called Lewis, Luas, shout out at Lewis the Red Couch. Thomas will appreciate that. So, long story short, I've told this story so many times. A few weeks ago, Thomas, he has an office in town. He wanted to get a couch for said office. Found a free one on Facebook Marketplace. Told the lads to come in. We came in, and we sound like such like a team, like on wait, like ready to be called in. It's kind of like what it is, though. In fairness, anyway, we got this couch on. It's around the corner from Parnell Street. It was about 20 minutes before we got it. We first brought it up, bringing it onto the Lewis, but other than that, it wasn't premeditated. It was completely random. We carried the Lewis onto the Lewis, or we carried the couch onto the Lewis. Sorry, and I was like myself and Kevin carried it on. My friend Kevin, and that clip was recorded, and I posted that clip. It's 16 seconds. It got 91.5k.
And how? Like, how does it get... Like, I know on Instagram people have followers and hashtags. How does TikTok work?
Okay, so...
Because obviously it's a fantastic, creative, out-of-the-box idea.
So, firstly, the reason why it's a good piece of content is because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, you're bringing a couch onto a Lewis. You know, and the door wouldn't close at the start, so it adds a bit more funniness, you know. That's not a word. And the guys were like, oh my God, you know, like there was good reactions, and it was very natural and organic. But why does that... Like, I didn't edit it, didn't add music, and didn't... You know, you put hashtags in, but like that, you know, it's not a big deal. Like I just threw it up, and I didn't intend anything by it. I didn't put it up at a specific time to optimize the search results. Like, it just happened. And the reason why, is, long story short, the eyeballs on the app TikTok are so high. Like, I forget the exact number now, but it's almost at the amount Instagram's at, like hundreds of millions. And not many people post on it. So like there's so much room for them to push, as in the algorithm and the people who run it, to push a video. And I don't actually know how it kind of gets picked up and then thrown, like it gets the momentum and then it takes off.
Because you kind of know the Instagram one, like someone with X amount of followers shares something and da-da-da, and that's how that works.
Well, okay, so...
But TikTok, like, could you go TikTok famous, let's say, if you had like 10 followers and just put up the right video?
Yeah, like I had like probably like, let's say 120 followers.
Right.
Like that didn't do anything to hold it back. Like I'll compare it. So Instagram is very difficult to grow on now because so many people are on it. You know, if you post something, who sees it? The people who follow you. You know, if you hashtag it, it might come up in the discover page or whatever it's called. You know, and if that's kind of it. Like, I mean, you can put stuff in your story, like locations and stuff, and hide them and hashtags to make them come up. But like, that's not really going to do much for you either. You kind of just need to be famous or have a profile already almost. So TikTok's the opposite. And this is what happens when any new app comes out. Again, there's more attention than there are posters, or people that post. And do you know what I mean? So like, again, I don't know. It's mad. I love that it's just the couch bringing it on to Lewis. It's just so... I love it now. I posted it, I think, at 11 p.m. I woke up in the morning. It was on like 6k, and I was like, "Oh, that's mad. That's class." And then, like from about 10 a.m. onwards, when I was working all day, I just kept checking it every half an hour. I don't know how fast it went up, but it went up a lot. It got to like 60 on the first day or something, and like not that that's, to me it's just interesting. Like that doesn't mean anything. Like it's cool, yeah, but like doesn't mean I'm famous or anything like that. But obviously not. But like it's just interesting how it works, and it's just obviously I think it's hilarious because it's us bringing the red couch onto it, and we brought it up Grafton Street and stuff after, and sometimes when we're, to finish the story, sometimes when we're out and about or on a night out or something, people would actually maybe recognize us, or we'd be talking to them and we might bring up TikTok or something, or maybe they probably knew Cian, and then I might be talking to one of them and they might have been like, "Oh, did you see the red couch one?" And I was like, "That was me," you know, stuff like that. So yeah.
And you've started your own podcast. Tell us about that. So
podcast. So if you listen to my accent, it's pretty obvious why I chose that name. But do you like how I said that? Do you know what I mean, Louis?
Someone at home's probably like, do you know the crew? No, gas.
No, it's just true. Like it doesn't. I didn't overthink it. Like I just decided to call it that. Like it's pretty simple. It sticks in people's minds too. Nothing major. It's just you know, again, I didn't deliberate over it for 3 weeks. You know, I was just like, yeah, I'll throw this up, because I started YouTube again. Like I didn't do it for about 7 months. Just doing videos here and there. Like I did a video about my trip to Amsterdam, for example. So that's kind of a vlog. To get back in the swing of things, and just to get up the volume of posting, I wanted to do the podcast. So I put up a full episode on Fridays, and then I put up clips, like shorter clips, just to add some more videos to the channel, and to get more maybe people to it, because people might not want to watch the full thing, of course, or listen to it. Obviously not, because it could be an hour long, and I completely understand that. It's just nice to have that long piece up and the short piece up. So like a clip example was, I was with my 2 friends, Luke and Daniel, and we were talking in the second episode. We were talking about loads of stuff, relationships, you know, interesting stuff, social life, and we kind of brought up in an interesting conversation. We brought up Tinder. Like, what actually do we think about it? Because I've never used it. I never really think about it. I think it's, I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting thing, and we had a 4-minute conversation, and I clipped that and put it up as its own video. You know what I mean? So
Tinder is the most interesting thing ever.
If you think about it, like I don't want to be too Gary Vee, but like, you know, think about it. Like it's interesting how it's just affected society so much. You know,
it's so. I don't want to say it's awful, because I've heard of success stories of like people finding each other, but the initial thing, it's like, does it say that the way a person looks is the main priority initially? Is that
for some?
Yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely, that's the conclusion we came to. My friend Luke was like, you kind of have to go into it understanding that for the most part people are talking to other people, you know, obviously, because some people would be hung up on the idea of playing the game, or whatever way they want to what they want to call it. Like, to me, I don't think you should stigmatize that. Like, people are just young, and once they're not mean or disrespectful, like, just, you don't know what they're doing. You don't own their life. Like, they're just doing their own thing. You know what I mean?
Do you ever have any anxiety about, like, in 5 years, I quite literally have no path? Like, obviously, my friends studying law or medicine, it may be hard, and like, that's their passion and stuff like that, but at least, okay, you're studying law, you get your degree, you do your year, it's not apprenticeship, but you do a year training with another lawyer, and then essentially you go into and then that's the ranks, and you kind of have your path. But when you're like a creative content person, let's say, or performer, like if you're performing, you could do a play for 3 months and then nothing else could happen. You could do a film for 2 weeks. Like, how do you deal with that?
So that's definitely probably the most fascinating thing and most enjoyable thing for me to talk about, because it's been such a big part of my life, because I've thought about it so much. Like, I'll start off, you know, when I was in 6th year, you know, and you're being asked left, right and centre, what are you going to do?
And you're like, I'm 17.
You know, like I never knew until I was about 17, then I started getting into fitness stuff. So that was the first kind of thing. I'll probably do something about that. But like, I deal with something when it comes up. So halfway through 6th year, I'm really thinking, right, okay, you know, everyone's asking me, you know, the exams are coming up. Am I going to college? All that stuff. So I thought I was, because, you know, that's what everyone does, or most people. And it's hard to think back, but only the last maybe 6 months am I really confident in all my decisions and where I'm going in life. So before that, it was a long process of being able to say to people older than me, people doing other things, people studying, this is my path, this is what I should be doing. I am personality wise, mentally wise, all this stuff suited to what I'm doing. Like, my, like, on paper chaos of structuring my own days completely. Like, I could easily lie in bed every day and do nothing. Easily. No one would stop me. Like, well, my dad would give out to me, but that's it. No one would stop me doing that. Now, what I did do is I didn't go to college. I went and did 5 months out of an 8-month PLC on multimedia. Obviously a little bit of crossover with what I do now, media stuff. Didn't really learn much from it, but the main purpose was to have a routine after that summer going into the big bad world, let's say.
It's funny that people say the big bad world, and guidance counsellors and some people like that I've interacted with will be like, oh, you're going to the big bad world and you want
it's
to...
It's such a trope. Like,
yeah, I remember saying that I wanted to study film, and someone who I was talking to was like, your test results say you would be a good accountant. And I was like, I'm sure an accountant is a fine path for someone else, but if you quite literally look at what I've done my whole entire life, it's not me. Like, I am a performer, creator. That's what I do. An accountant, apparently, according to this test I did, is my ideal career.
I would never see that for you. You know
I know.
what I mean?
It's insane. But who knows? And if that's my passion in the future, that's great.
Exactly.
But I was just like, no. And you can't. My issue is other students and other young people who may not have as much self-belief as I did that time to be like, no, I believe in myself. I back this. I'm going to do this, would be turned off. And I've had friends really close to me who wanted to do some creative, more based courses. Let's say, for example, something like music, and they've chose nursing. And now they're like, they went a year in, dropped out, and now they're lost, and they still don't have that confidence to do the course they really want to do or do what they really want to do. And I think that in schools, it's really important from a young age that you tell students, you tell 6-7-year-olds, if you want to be a performer, if you want to be a creator, if you want to use a camera, like, you can do that if you work hard.
Breed the awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had a meeting recently with someone about my career, and it was just like, they asked me what type of house I want, which I found interesting. There was no judgment on what I want to do. It was a creative person, a filmmaker, and they just said, if you go down this path, you won't have a house that's really nice or whatever. If you go down this path, you will have lots of money. It's about how you use your creativity, which I found interesting, but still at the same time, I'm like, you shouldn't let that be controlled.
Telling you, or they were kind of explaining different avenues?
We were talking about different avenues in my career and where I want to go.
Sure.
And basically, well, the idea was like, if you're a creative drama director, jobs are here and there, so you're not going to have a steady income. Whereas if you're a creative PR maker, there's going to be more likely to be a steady income. There always needs to be ads made, all that stuff. It's higher budget. So it was an interesting conversation compared to ones I would have had of guidance counselors. There was no saying no. It wasn't like, no, you shouldn't do either. It was like, if you want money, like not guaranteed money, but if you work hard again and you want steady income, go for the more PR route. And if you want to be a creator or writer, it's bumpier. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but it was interesting that there was no shutdown.
Okay, no shutdown, The 3 or 4 things that explain my point of view on it, and one of them was the indecisiveness thing I already said, so that saves people a lot of time. If you can just decide on trying something, if you don't like it or it doesn't work out, done. Like, you didn't waste brain space or time thinking about it for months and months or years potentially on the extreme level. Another one is being able to change your mind. The power of just, you live your own life. Like, it's okay to change your mind in whatever it might be. You ordered sparkling water, now you don't want it. Like, I know that's a weird example.
That's a mood, isn't it?
You know, you wanted to do nursing, you decided you didn't like it. That's fine, good. Don't continue doing it. Make that decision.
And don't dwell on it. Like, do you know some mornings when you set your alarm, I don't know, some mornings might set my alarm at 6 and be like, I'm going to go gym before my day starts, and then you wake up at 7. That's fine. But don't let the not waking up at 6 define your whole day. And people, I struggle with that, everyone struggles with that, and you just have to let it go. Be like, man, you know what, I was 2 minutes late to this. Now I'm fully believe in punctuality, and I'm never late as much as I can be, and I can't remember a time I was late. I learned a great lesson about that when I was 13 actually. I was in a show, read the rehearsal time wrong, read it as 12 instead of 1, and I was an hour late, and I've never been late again, and I'm so thankful to the directors of that show.
I get you.
But just sometimes you mess up, and it's about learning from it but not letting it define your moment.
I know myself, on a brief side note, how you speak to yourself, you know, will dictate your response to that. I'm not trying to be too heavy, but like, I would, in my brain, like, we all have our own in your head, like, how do you actually say things to yourself? And I never thought about this. Stephen Farrell actually first kind of proposed it to me, would you believe? And then I started to think about it, and I looked into it a bit more, and I'm done on Tuesday. I've been going to Jigsaw for the last 8 weeks. They do 8 sessions, and free of charge for any person between whatever it is, 18 and 25 or something. And just to talk to someone, I wanted to know what it was like to be in that environment of quote unquote therapy, if you will. Not that I think I've 12,000 problems. It's just that I wanted to be in that space, and it's been beneficial. Anyway, and
that's very.
Do you know what I mean? Sorry, I know what you're gonna say. Like, me speaking about that is important to me because Daniel, you know him, Daniel Kinney. One of my best friends. I've learned so much from him. Being vulnerable as a man, like, is a very strong thing to be able to do. Like, I don't I don't really care about anything that people think. And I think me just saying that so casually kind of is an example of that, you know?
Yeah, and I was going to say that I think that has the potential to inspire a lot of people, and it's actually taken me aback there, because it's so hard to be, it can be very hard to be vulnerable, and I don't know why, like at the end of the day, we can't just remember we're human.
Yeah.
And that's the type of people I try to associate myself with, and again, Stephen would be someone who would reinforce that to me, like, you know, people might be this caliber or have the longest CV or anything, but the best people in the world are the people who remember we're just human. Every job someone does is important, whether it's at the bottom of the food chain, the top of the food chain, whatever. It's like just remembering that you're important and being human.
Yeah.
And that all we really want is connection to our passion, our work, connection to people. Like,
Yeah.
And I think when people forget that, that's the worst thing. And when people start fights and bicker with each other and everyone messes up.
Yeah.
And it's about saying like, right, your mess up could have really hurt someone, but it's okay. Now it's not okay to hurt people, but you just got to go back to that letting go. Like, you're going to be the hero in someone's story, Ben, and you're going to be the villain. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be the perfect person for everyone.
No.
And we're all learning.
Yes, sir. So like to finish my quick thing on the speaking to yourself, like I'm still working on, like, I wouldn't speak to myself the best. And it's not that I'm like 100% negative. I'm not, because how I speak and carry myself is positive. So it almost seems contradicted, but my response and reaction to some things is automatically self-critical. Now, most people will be like that a little bit, and there's a difference between holding yourself accountable and being unnecessarily critical. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not being too heavy, but that I forget what we were talking about earlier, but that affects, anything really. It could affect everything you do by like 1-2%, so that
well, how you talk to yourself is so important. And I learned that from Stephen as well. It's kind of like, would I say to you, Ben, oh, you're a piece of shit, like you woke up late, and no, like you wouldn't say that. You'd be like, man, it's fine. Or if someone broke up with their girlfriend or something.
That's a good way of putting it. Don't say it to yourself if you wouldn't say it to someone else or something. Yeah.
And we're just so, like, we're so awful to each other. Not each other, to ourselves. Yeah. But like, it's just, I hate seeing people just being really sad and in their head. And obviously the thing is, this is something you have to come to yourself. Yeah. Someone can tell you, but you have to realize, and you have to want to get there. So
I realized, it affected certain things in my life, and like, you just want to rectify that. You want to improve. So, or I do anyway. So keep improving always. That was my old motto, for anyone wondering. So that was the catalyst in my mind. I was like, this is going to affect some relationships I have in a small way, but it's a net effect, and you just want to be your best self. So I was like, right, it's going to be difficult. Like, I don't understand it, but I'll figure it out. Anyway, another thing to explain with the college and the how do I
keep motivated?
That's the one. Yeah. So I only do things I enjoy doing. Therefore, I feel content and happy in my life, which is a good thing to say. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. I mean, that's what some people say is the purpose of life.
And I had that recently. That came to me. I had an assignment due in, and I was talking to someone, and they just said, I'm so stressed about this project. And then I just said to myself, I chose to be where I am, and I'm not letting these things stress me out anymore. Like, I want to be here, and I'm here because I want to enjoy it. So I've changed my mindset a lot recently over the past 6 months. Been like, I'm going into this with the intent of doing my best. When it stressed me out, I have to take a deep breath, have to do some special breathing. I've learned this new breathing mechanism. You do it for like a minute, and your mind just relaxes so quickly. So let's all learn. All right, you put these two fingers on the middle forehead finger, and what's the other one?
The index
finger on your forehead. You put I learned this in yoga.
Thumb on your nose.
You put your thumb on your nose. You breathe in through one nostril. Mm-hmm. Block it. Breathe out through the other nostril, and let the thumb go.
Yeah.
And then breathe in. Thumb on the nostril.
So you go back and forth between the two, in and out, alternating.
Back and forth between two.
I've never done any breathing like doing that. Like, that's very...
Honestly, I learned that, and like, I stopped doing it. Then I was like, no, I got to do that. And now I'm doing so much. I feel I'm doing much better work than I have done before, and I'm really enjoying the moment. and I'm just being present there instead of being like, my to-do list is 10 billion things to do. Because I think when you're in the highest amount of pressure, that's when you have to be the most relaxed to get the job properly done.
Oh, of course, Jesus.
And the best
They would
entrepreneurs,
combust if they couldn't. Entrepreneurs going 90.
like I was working.
They have problems left, right, and center every day.
And
losses,
other people reply. Like I was working with my dad, and we were doing a job with the Pope, and I've never seen my dad so relaxed and so focused. Like his mind was just this one.
Good example.
Happening.
Good example.
I know exactly everything. He went to all the other places, scanned it out, did a shot list essentially in his mind, a plan,
a brief,
on paper, brief, everything, and like it just went out.
Beautiful.
No problems. And it's just like you got to be in that state of relaxation, and everything else has to shut up. And when I went to see Lizzo, shout out to Lizzo, she was just like, I need everyone in here to take all that negativity and anything in your mind and throw it over there and just be here in this moment and appreciate that. And I think if we all approach all our activities like that and all our work and our time with our friends, this is important now. Maybe at 9 o'clock, so what's it, 8:30 now? At 9 o'clock, Ben has to get a bus or something, but he's not thinking about that. No. We're thinking about this.
Correct.
Or maybe
it's a thing you have to practice. Yeah,
it's a practice. Meditation.
I love how you're bringing back like being present and stuff. There's so many things I was going to say. Let's just go with the last kind of thing that keeps me motivated, let's say, which I think is a good lesson for people, is just improving. Like, for example, I've noticed the last couple of months when I'm shooting video particularly, but shooting in general with people at an event, let's say like last night, I was at a GAA club, they were doing a fundraiser. I'm so in tune, or like, how do I put it? My camera is like an extension of my body. So like, I'm so in tune with like what I'm going to do. Like me getting a good angle or a good shot just happens automatically now. And I knew I could do it from the start when I started making videos. Well, actually, no, when I first got my camera, because I was so excited about it. I got it like 2 days before the last exam, classics for leaving, and then started vlogging like 5 minutes after I was done the exam. And I did like 4 days in a row, and then I crashed because I needed to break after the year, because you don't get a break actually. You know what I mean? Anyway, so my example was I literally was just walking around and I got like all the shots for like the promo in like, you know, like half an hour or something. And I'm literally like, it's just so satisfying because I've seen progress. And, you know, it's not that I necessarily strive for progress. Like, yeah, I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to learn more because it is my job, but like, or my main job. It's like, it's all just because doing it and enjoying it, because I enjoy every second. It's allowed that creativity to come out, and I just anything creative again I love, and video is my favorite thing to do. Now Ben, we're at that point in the podcast where we're coming to an end, and this is your moment to say anything I forgot to ask. Now Ben, we could talk for hours like we said before we started, and I'm sure you'll be back on, and I'll love to be on the podcast soon. Yes, sir. I just invited myself, but anyway, no, you gotta plant the seed. And is there anything else we forgot to say? There's so many good points we had, but I think we actually gave them their due time, you know. We talked about stuff. We're like, obviously we're gonna have the 1% and the elite of anything, sport, music, you know, acting. Like, of course that gets a lot of attention because it's so unique and extreme, and it's the 1% or the less than 1%. That's the way it works. Like, you know, why does the Fortnite World Cup get so much? Why did it have such a big prize pool? Like the guy who won the solo thing, like it was literally 100 people against each other, and he won it. He got 3 million. Well, it's because 20 million people watched it live. Like, but you got to work hard at what you want to do, and just got to keep going and hopefully, usually, your version of success will come true. Most people who get there, they are, well, as they say, 10-year overnight successes. Now, I wonder about this. I was thinking about this earlier. Sometimes it seems like that's not the case. Like Post Malone wasn't that. He just threw something up on SoundCloud and got a rap name off Rap Generator. But usually people put in work for years, you know what I mean? Or they're in the right place as well. Anyway, it's all good. That's it, Ben. Where can we find you? At Brady Aesthetics on Instagram, at Ben Brady on TikTok, Ben Brady on YouTube. Yeah, that's all. And I will Thank you for listening.
Get onto TikTok, maybe. Someday.
Why not?
Amazing. Thanks so much for coming on. Thank you so much for listening. This is a beautiful episode. Felt very organic, very natural, just a nice chat, you know? Thank you so much to Ben for sitting down and talking to us. And as always, if you like the podcast, share it with someone you think would like it. And if you want to check out Ben's podcast, it's called The Poshcast, as you heard, and it's available on YouTube now. So check that out. Guys, have an absolutely fantastic week. Make sure you're looking after yourselves. Do those activities that make you happy. Go for a walk, ring your friends, do some Zoom calls, and I will see you all next week.